Welcome to Storyvan TV. And my name's Bonnie McDonald Dixon, and I'm here with Anne Crawford. And we have been doing a series called uh, Plan B for 2023. What is your plan B? And in saying that, we have a special guest today, Maurice Thomas Jr. And all of us together have probably, I hate to say it, but with all of us, probably 50, 60 years of life behind us. And what we know is that when you're in the right career, when you're doing what you love, there's nothing that can stop you. So today, what I'm going to do is we'll just introduce Anne and Maurice a little bit more so that you know our background. Let's see here. I've got some slides going on. There we go. Let's see. There we go. I went a little too far. There we go. What is your plan B 2023? And so I just want to say this exciting things about Anne. She is a career transition coach for over 17 years. She shares a highly effective process that supports individuals in creating their careers and personal lives that they've always wanted. And she specializes in military personnel returning to civilian life. Thank you, Anne, for your service. And my name is Bonnie McDonald Dixon again, and mine has been a portfolio career. I've been a lifelong health advocate for myself and others. I'm a co-host here for Storyvan TV. I'm an author on how to get a job you love and in Change One Belief. I have done speaking, and I am a horse and coffee lover. And I'm currently helping people live long and live well with the wellness solutions designed to redefine the future of human potential. And today our guest is Maurice Thomas Jr. He is passionate about education and entrepreneurship, and he's dedicated himself to helping others achieve success in all aspects of their lives. And note that he is a mentor and an asset manager. And we're going to query him today on how he got there. And with that, I'm going to do a little quote. Do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better. Our lovely Maya Angelou. That was always very striking to me. We can act in ignorance, or we can act in knowledge. And today, what we're going to, I saw this slide that I had created a few weeks ago with Anne and I, and emotional strength, financial, core values, and health. Those are three really important ingredients to what we're going to be talking about today. So what we're going to start talking about is transformation. But before we do, I just want Anne to pop on here. And let's see here. We can do that. There we go. And can you just say a few words, and then we'll start chatting with Maurice, because you and I and Maurice had a chat the other day. And with your background and your knowledge, what was it that intrigued you about us interviewing Maurice today?
I actually love the process that Maurice has gone through in his life. When you come from difficult situations and then you have achieved greatness in your life and you want to continue to achieve greatness, what steps do you take to do this? And we were discussing that. Why is it that some people never get ahead and stay in the same victim role, while others decide that what happened to them, but it doesn't define them? And that's what I really got out of our conversations. And I get it out of any of my clients. Almost everybody's gone through difficult situations, but what propels them to move outside their comfort zone and take a leap of faith?
Hmm, absolutely. And let's see here. There we go. So, Maurice, thank you again for coming today. We both were enchanted, I think, of hearing a fearlessness, a
Mm.
person who's willing to stretch and to grow and then to help others. And so, would you just share with us, let's see, how shall I put it? a little bit of your background, maybe where you started, and it's that transformation that other people want to know, can I possibly do that? And can you share with them how that worked for you?
Sure thing, and thanks again for having me, Ann and Bonnie. I really appreciate it. I would say I'm from a small city in Northeast Ohio called Youngstown, Ohio. Born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio. Had a few things that occurred, there in Youngstown that kind of changed the trajectory of my life early on. And I'll just dive straight into it from that point. November 11th, 1995. Um, my father was the 62nd homicide that year, and at that point, it kind of propelled me into like the man in the house. So I'm the oldest of four. I actually have two brothers and a sister. Like I said, I'm the oldest of four. At that point, I pretty much started looking for different jobs, started looking for opportunities to support my mother at that point. But the biggest impact came in the following year, in 1996, when my mom bought a compact Presario. I'm not sure you guys remember that, but my mom purchased a compact Presario for the home, and that transaction brought me into IT, or the thoughts of IT early on. While I was in high school, I went to a vocational school where I did information technology. Of course, I had a passion for IT. Again, while I'm in high school, I'm still working, custodian at my high school and working at Burger King at that time, again, to support my family and the needs. But the most important piece is that purchase of that compact Presario, coupled with the death of my father, gave me an opportunity to go to college. And that the college experience itself, I ended up majoring in computer science. And while in college, I pretty much learned a lot about myself at that point as well. Meaning being from a small city and not having much exposure, not even having a vehicle in my household, going to college and seeing different individuals doing different things at my age really opened my eyes into what I like to call just life. And I had a different perception of what life is and the opportunities, that was in front of me. I learned how to read opportunities or understand opportunities. But the point is, I ended up majoring in computer science. After graduation, I did a post back at Cal State San Bernardino, where they actually taught entrepreneurship. And then from there, I went on and went to a Christian school, Grand Canyon University, where I earned my MBA there. And then from there, I just went into the role of entrepreneur. So I'm still engaged in technology itself. I currently work for a university in a college of IT at Western Governors University. However, a big part of my life, or what I do now, is giving back and helping individuals, um, figure out their why, connect their why, find their value, so they can eventually get away from, their 9 to 5s.
Wow, that is amazing. So, you know, that is a journey. um, and knowing what you know with the career, you've helped many a career person transition, transform. And Maurice, that is exactly, an amazing story.
Yes.
And what would you, if you were asking someone where they wanted to start and go to, what are some of the things you ask? Like you were asking Maurice the other day some pretty good questions.
Poor
Uh,
guy.
what are some of the things that we do that we can help people think about what they're doing? Actually think about it.
I think we on those slides it talked about the emotional side of this plan B here. We'll start with that one because if you don't know yourself well, I think that's the first thing I start with all my clients is let's get to know who you are first. That's the most important because that drives everything that you do. Now, there's must have been a component in Maurice that really knew himself well enough to say, I do not want to continue in the same situation that I am. I will move heaven and earth to move my life forward, but I need a game plan. And that's also important. So there's an endurance that people need to follow if they're going to make a change in their life. That's what I would discuss with them. Let's make an endurance plan. It's a little bit different than goal setting. It's how do you achieve those goals that you have set. And sometimes I think, to me, baby steps are the first and essential way to move it forward. That's basically, I have seen the greatest achievements for my clients through small baby steps. So let's take Maurice for a minute. There was something in him in high school that he said, I want something greater in my life. How do I do that? Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to look into schools. How do I get into school? I'm going to, wait a minute. I need money to go to school. I'm going to take these part-time jobs. That's my first step. That gives me the foundation of earning money and showing that I'm responsible. Then he picked out the universities or the colleges that brought him success. Where's the greatest fit, I should say, for me? And we don't actually know that until we experience that. He could have gone to a college that he said, forget it, I don't fit in at all. But that's your gut telling you you're aligned in the right way. It's just the wrong school. All right. It's just like being with a person. I really like this person, but oh baby, they're not really right for me. That's how we know. So think about, Bonnie, and you tell a wonderful story about your post office days. How did you know that when you were working in the post office, you knew it was a responsible job, it was bringing in money? And I know you said that it wasn't a good fit. You were it was too much for you. What game plan did you have at that time to move and change?
That's a really good question, Anne. I knew it was a good job. I lived in the middle of nowhere. It was 20 miles to a normal sized small town. And then it was about 30 miles to Edwards Air Force Base. So I get this post office job, and I really had to work hard to get it too. I didn't pass the test the first time. The very first day I was there was 115 degrees, and it was August, and I walked 6 hours, and I had blisters the size of this on the bottom of my feet. And I said, dear God in heaven, I've made a mistake. But more than that is the culture was negative. And you always hear that term going postal. Well, everybody around me was complaining. And I thought, I can't live this way working. It took me 6.5 years to escape there. I would be all hot and sweaty working all day, or sometimes in the winter, 0 degrees freezing with a wind chill factor of another 10 degrees. I would go to school at night, even in my yucky clothes, I sweaty all up and everything. I'd go to school at night. I wanted to learn how to run a business. And so that's what I did is I thought, I'm going to go do what I love to do. And I recognized that I loved the natural products industry. I loved health food stores and all of that. So while I was at the post office, I volunteered. It ended up being a whole year. On my day off from the post office, I went and volunteered at this health food store. And I learned all the skills I could ever know. And when my dream of owning a store did not pan out, the woman who owned the health food store said, come be my general manager. You know everything.
Yeah.
And I dropped my income to do it, but I was compelled to do it. And that was it just was not a fit there. And it was a fit over here. And it was a stepping stone. And I won't go on, but I must say, I want to ask Maurice. So you had some stepping stones that you went along. And what behind the scenes in the back of your head, I think you mentioned family, but what behind the scenes helped compel you to those next steps?
Well, great question. We all know that education is the surest path to opportunity. So as I matriculated through high school, being around different individuals, my why was always my family initially, making sure my family was, taken care of. Not saying my mom didn't do anything. However, I wanted a certain lifestyle for them to continue that lifestyle for them. So my why kind of changed as I matriculated through life. So initially, while I was in high school, it was my family. While I was in college, it was the birth of my son Maurice III, and then from there, it was my exposure when I lived in California for a bit, moving to Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland area. That one was just more of relationships. So from there, I understood that relationships was mission critical for success in life as well. So to bring everything full circle, as I matriculated through life, everything just really, um, I like to say, kind of just came together. So I initially set this goal like, hey, I will go and work on my master's degree. For my master's degree, I wanted to consult in the IT space initially. So I knew I wanted to have my own business, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't working for nobody, exchanging my time. And we all know how that works. So my story kind of goes back to what you're saying. And from that perspective, I knew that I didn't want to continue to have that time exchange for money, and we know that time is more valuable than money. We grew up learning, or people make it seem like they're equal, but we know, the time is not, equal to money itself. So as I matriculated through life, my why changed, and as I hit certain goals, it became mission critical to actually leverage my relationships and pursue business opportunities and different things of that nature.
Mhm. You just said something very profound to me that we assume people know, but I'm not going to assume they know that jobs are wonderful. Absolutely. Everyone in their life chooses jobs. I mean, I did a gardening job when I was 12, and I got
Mhm.
$2 an hour, and that was pretty good back then. That was nice. That was in the 70s.
We're showing our age here.
I know. But Maurice, that is one of the specialties you have worked towards, is teaching people that we trade our time with a person, a company, dollars per hour, and people often chug along with that. What I would love to share with this audience is that is fabulous. And there's more. Most of the millionaires in the US have a small business.
Mhm.
And sometimes they're working their job and then they've got a small business on the side until it tips over. And sometimes small businesses, we've seen things like Shark Tanks and all those cool programs where someone has a great idea and then they push through. But they're working over here, but they're building a business over there. I know that you might be able to speak to that and the value of shifting or doing what you love and getting paid more than dollars per hour.
Absolutely. It kind of that question or that comment ties back to what Ann was saying. We know that your your you're based in society, or your value is based on your skill set. So it's mission critical to evaluate where you're at. And I think Ann stated it was three of them. It was financial, emotional, and I forgot the third one, Ann, offhand. But
Health.
those, when you look at
Health.
individuals, I'm sorry, what was that third one, Ann?
Health.
Health is wealth. Yes, yes. So just thinking about those three in general, we know all three equate to your value in the workplace.
Yeah.
So whatever your skill set is, just meeting with someone and evaluating them is kind of like what Ann do. You evaluate those individuals, meeting them where they're at, and then from there, based on their why or what their goals are. I think one of you guys said endurance. I like that, the endurance statement, because it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. But going back to the initial statement there, we know you are evaluated by your skill set in the market. So helping individuals develop that skill set, and then not only develop that skill set, try to be the most influential in that space. So if you're not in the top 10 in that space, you got to at least be in the top 20. No matter if you're putting out a book, no matter if you're doing speaking engagements, different things of that nature. So you are a valuable person in that industry. I don't care if you're doing logistics or different things of that nature, whatever industry, that skill set should be able to transfer in each industry. But that's a great comment. And I was wondering, could you touch on those three, especially the health one? We all know health is wealth, but
Oh, health's a doozer. Um, Actually, health is the foundation of all the rest of the steps and everything that we do in life. And I wanted to just touch for a second because there's also financial health too. And when we were talking about that, when you define what you would love to do, many people think of the dollar signs first, but you got to think of your identity with money and where does that come from. And it is so imperative when you're thinking about going into business as to what money really means to you. I'll be honest with you, money is awesome to have. It gives you freedom. But for me, it was not the propellant for me to go into business. I'm a really good planner. I plan for quiet times and busy times. And that's what you have to think of as far as for financials. It's an emotional based thing also. Money is some people's identity. So if Maurice had the identity of I'm just out here to make a lot of money, he probably wouldn't be as successful as he is today, because that is not really a good thing to have. You can be successful and quietly be wealthy, but if you are the focus point on I'm going to make $200,000, and if I don't make it, I'm not successful, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble. I mean, Bonnie can certainly vote to this as to changing jobs all the time. I don't believe that you change jobs because of the money as much as it was your gut feeling and what aligning yourself with the right situation. And the health all works into that. How do I want to live my life? What does my life look like when I'm healthy? Having a healthy balance is the most important thing to me. And that's what we were talking before about health. So you've got the emotional base that we've already talked about. You've got the financials, and now we have the health. And they all go in together. Like Bonnie and I were cooking this up. They're all essential for your success. But only you can predict what your success looks for and looks at and looks like for your future. And that slides into Maurice's comment about his why. It's like when Bonnie was talking about when she left the post office, you get these feelings and you have to be aware of yourself to get the why feeling and say, I want to do better. My why is my children. Maurice's why will be something completely different in 10 years. Bonnie's will be. Mine has adjusted completely in the last 5 years as to my why. Make sure that's attached to something, though, that keeps driving you forward and forward and forward and constantly learning and growing. And that's part of your health pattern, too.
I think for myself, it makes my life juicy and interesting and fun and always something to look forward to. You can do that within a traditional job. You can learn everything. In fact, in my book, How to Get a Job You Love, I stress that the fact my first story is called The Perfect Job. And the perfect job is the one you're doing right now. And you might be cleaning toilets at McDonald's. Make it the perfect job. Clean that toilet. Do the job. Really do the job. If it's making hamburgers, cleaning toilets, I cleaned horse corrals. I've done so many things. I cleaned the best. That corral was clean. But do it the best because that lifts you up to the next place that you want to go. So, but if we are working and we're unhappy, the ripple effect can destroy families, relationships. It can ruin a business, just like where I was at. People are all so grumpy. Their health was not good. That was the
Right.
other thing. I had to get away from that. But so I think we've all heard that surround yourself. Those 5 people that you surround yourself is who you are too.
Right.
And we're affected by the workplace. So as we create our workplace, we want that to be healthy too, emotionally and physically. And also, we all deserve to make a good living. Sometimes we pity party ourselves. Oh, I'm not worth, whatever. Maurice, this is what I saw you did. You were here and you said, I'd like to be here. And that gapping I talk about in my book, what is it from here to here that you need to do to get where you want to go? And you can make it fun. It might be hard.
Yeah.
You were going to college and working and had a family. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of things at once, but you did it. And why I'm so inspired is you have a part of you, the financial, that you've learned over the many years of you need more than just day-to-day rent money. And most people are working a job, sometimes now 2 jobs, sometimes now 3 jobs.
Right.
Between my parents, they had 3 jobs and then 5 kids. And I think the thing is, what you're teaching, Maurice, is not only the base that we earn, but the income on the side that builds and how to use that. We're not taught that with jobs.
Right.
We're not taught that at home often because they don't know. My parents didn't know. My dad was a postman and my mom was a nurse, and they went to work, and I kind of thought that too, but I started self-educating myself. But Maurice, can you tell us a little bit of what got you curious about financial futures for yourself and your family?
Great, great question. Great question. Something that I stated earlier when it comes to relationships, and Bonnie, you kind of touched on it as well. You are the sum of the 5 people you interact the most with. So those individuals themselves, I started to look at them and I started to elevate. And when I started to elevate, I started to find myself having different ideas of what success looks like. So I already had the mindset that, success is a mindset itself. And it kind of goes back to what Ann was saying. So as I matriculated through life, I started to look at my health. I'm a part-time vegetarian. And then not only that, I started to look at financials, and how that ties back to it is the why. So I like to say I live in America, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but what I mean is a lot of things. I like to say rethink rich. Like we are privileged to a lot of things here, and what success looks like. I have a home, I have a healthy family, but what I wanted to do was make sure that I could sustain this lifestyle. So what I did was I pivot and start going into mortgage note investing. You already know I have an MBA, so I already knew how things work in theory when it comes to looking at numbers, but I knew I had to find ways to put my money to work. And then not only put my money to work, but how can I keep it or sustain it where my children are not starting over here in the near future? And that path itself was mortgage note investing. So that changed the trajectory of my life. And going back to the relationships, kind of like you, Bonnie, if an individual if I had direct access to that individual, I will, if I didn't have access to that individual, excuse me, I will buy their books. And if I did, I will, like Ann, I would pay for mentorship. So either or, those relationships kind of cultivated, where I wanted to go and where I'm going. So relationships is mission critical. Going back to that as well. I know I keep saying it, but those relationships and the 5 people that you're around the most are going to continue to change your definition of success. You're going to learn new ways to make money and put money to work, and then that's ultimately going to change your why eventually as well. So going back to everything
Mhm.
to kind of tie that back together.
Yeah.
Mhm. Wow, this conversation has just really, I think, intrigued me. I just kind of saw it as, in a sense, I work with people and mentor health, and you work with the careers, but I see you as you are so spot on with your emotional. And Maurice, the financials, you got it, babe. And what I encourage everyone is just to take a moment. I was actually on a call earlier with Leo Babuda, and he talked about taking the time for yourself to sit each day and be quiet, and maybe do a little review of how your life is for the day. And I've heard another old saying that said, today is a good day to die. And that sounds strange, but we are reborn each morning waking up, and we die in a sense going to sleep. We wake up, each day is anew. And I encourage everyone here to consider doing something like that of, what am I doing? Really think about it, because we can just run down the trail and pretty soon we're at the end, but we didn't know what happened or where we went, because we never planned on where we were going.
Right.
And I know with Anne, she can help you open your eyes and vision and feel emotionally, where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? And Maurice can be guiding people to their financial success, as well as he mentors people, because he does that regularly. I want you to share that a little bit about that in a moment here. And I guide people with the health, and we all do all three, but at the same time, find a mentor in your life and check in with them, hang with them, and see where your trajectory of your life will go. I think you'll be surprised at that one thing that you could do that wouldn't cost you anything necessarily, to find a mentor in life. And from there, really be a bit introspective. Can you speak to that a little bit, Maurice? And then Anne, about Maurice on people, mentoring people, and the group that you help, that you work with.
Sure thing. So mentorship is mission critical for your success in any endeavor. I don't care if you learn how to fish. I don't care if you learn how to maintenance cars, whatever it may be. I always tell the story when it comes to learning how to drive. I wasn't fortunate to have a vehicle in my home. So I never learned how to drive. And then in high school itself, they took out the driver's ed course. So I was 23 years old when I first learned how to drive. And you can imagine how skeptical someone would be with someone like myself, 6'4", in someone's car, learning how to drive in traffic. But it kind of goes back to what you're saying. Mentorship is mission critical. So my mentorship is Desi Arnaz and Patrick Franz. I pay for that mentorship in that space to learn from the best when it comes to mortgage note investing. So I have been, getting that mentorship for close to, about 38 months here. So a little bit over, 3 years from there. But I have to say that as you matriculate through life, it's mission critical to find a mentor. If you can't find a mentor, if you don't have, you 1 or 2 degrees from that individual, find a book and leverage their book when it comes to their content. But it kind of goes back to Anne when it comes to that Endorse plan. What does that look like for you? How can I assist you from a financial standpoint? No matter if it's, starting off with life insurance, getting your foundational plan together. Now, once you get from financial foundation under control from getting life insurance, what does that next level look like? Is it debt? Do we want to tackle a mortgage? Do we want to tackle investment plans for the children, 529 plan? But from a financial standpoint, I would definitely be able to meet people where they're at.
Fabulous. Hey, Anne, can you share a little bit more about us too, of, what you mentor people and you help them move from one place to another. Can you share with us who you like to work with, who you love to work with, who is your favorite kind of people to work with?
Yeah. Well, first of all, they have to have a sense of humor. No, we can't go through life always being serious here. but they have to be very serious about being an advocate for themselves. That's very important to me. If you're going to invest the time with me or with Bonnie or with Maurice, you have to believe in yourself and want to change for the better. Okay. I do a lot. I am a mentor for this ACP program, American Corporate Partners, which really helps veterans and active duty soldiers find employment. There's a lot of companies up there that will mentor them, and I am one of the mentors that have been picked to help their staffs and stuff like that. I also do ESGR, which is employer support of the National Guard and Reserves, which helps the deployed active duty soldier with USERA laws. So I'm always there if they need to talk to somebody about, is it okay that I didn't get my raise when I was deployed? And I go, no, it isn't. And I can put you in touch with somebody, one of our representatives. It's when you're a mentor, it is just as rewarding as we were on the other end, where we had somebody invest their time and their knowledge with us. It's a payback type thing. And so when you think about financials, this is the richest way you can become the strongest person for others and yourself. So I highly suggest that all of us give back in some way, shape, or form. I mean, it gets to the point where you're like always giving of yourself. So you do have to put boundaries up saying, I can give you 3 hours, but if you want my expertise, then you have to start paying for it. I mean, all of us as business people know that a little free time is okay, but it's a hard lesson to learn because there's people that go out there and just say, I'll volunteer all the time. And if you go in as a volunteer, that's something different as to giving your information away as a mentor. How much do you want to give away? And you better be sure that you're ready to give that away for free for a certain amount of time. But we wouldn't all be here if we didn't have mentors. My mentor really was Cheryl Richardson. I've met her 2 or 3 times, and she really clicked with me going into the coaching world. She's had books that I've done workshops off of. She really is very approachable in her writing and who she is. She didn't change with success, and I really identify with that because we all are here for a purpose here. And when people start getting detached from who they are, that's when you lose your essence. So it's just something within me. So that's my story on mentorship. It's very important. I encourage everybody, if they're looking for employment, hook up with a mentor that's in something that you have an interest in and go for it. Okay.
Wise advice. Thank you both. Thank you both. I'm trying to think of my mentor. I think I've had many mentors, and this might be an odd one. My horse was my mentor.
Yeah.
My horse and I went on many an adventure. And people may think you can talk to animals or not, but I literally would be riding her and I could feel her. And there's a communication. A lot of times there's people who use horses and veterans or horses and people, and they have the biggest heart. These, horse is a huge animal anyway, has these huge hearts, and you can actually touch them. So I would say animals are often my mentors. But as far as people, Thich Nhat Hanh, he's a Buddhist priest who just passed this last year. I liked his books very, very much, and they were very comforting to me. As far as some of his quotes and things, I just really appreciated him very, very much. And it was all about coming back to self and being, I guess, self-actualized in a sense.
Yeah.
And people would say, oh, you're so brave. You go do all these things. I go, oh, I'm not necessarily brave. I'm just curious and I want to know more. So I've had, again, a portfolio career, but I've had a jolly good time. That's for sure. And was saying that I just want to thank everyone for taking the time out to consider their own career, their health, their emotional state. The world can be a lot better place when we're happy doing what we love to do and can share it. I'm just going to do something, see if we've got another slide here. Let's see if I can put it on the screen. Yes, we've gone through this one, so I need the next slide. Honey, my wizard behind the scene here. Oh, there we go. This was interesting. 81% of the people fake their happiness at work. Don't be one of those. And if you feel like this, please call one of us. Please connect with one of us. And this one, Maurice can probably speak to that. 40% of Americans have less than $300 in savings. That's like one trip to the doctor or a dental bill.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit scary. Only 30% of Americans have a long-term financial plan. That would be for Canada as well. And so, now's the time to consider this. Don't sit around for 10 more years and think, oh, I should have. Staying where you're at is when you stay with those same swirling thoughts. And what do you do to get out of staying where you are? Well, you reach out to one of us. And if you're ready to create your plan B for 2023, and you're ready to visualize what it would be like, and we are here, we're safe, trusted confidants, guide, mentors to discuss your options. It's the time to do something like that. It's time is now. And this was one of Anne's quotes. She loves this one. People start to heal the moment they feel heard. So finding that mentor, really getting someone, because sometimes you're talking to people and they're not listening at all.
Yeah.
How many times do we ever think they didn't hear a word I said? That's what we all do. And let's see, and taking action is super important. And writing things down, like I said, the daily pages, write down your heart on the paper so you can discuss it with your mentor.
Right.
And today again, Anne, thank you so much for being here. You can reach out to Anne on LinkedIn. You can reach out to myself on LinkedIn, and absolutely reach out to Maurice on LinkedIn, and invite someone to, if they're ready for their best life in 2023. There's nothing more than today. Yeah. And from that, I think that's the end of our slides. And thank you. Any last thought, Maurice and Anne?
Go ahead, Maurice.
I'll say, hey, Bonnie, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I will definitely encourage you to reach out to one of us if you are feeling unbalanced in any of those areas. I can be reached at on LinkedIn. That's my social, my handle on LinkedIn. I do have a website, tiglegacy.com. So www or www.tiglegacy.com. I'm over there to book some time on my calendar.
Thank you. And Anne?
I would just say to everybody, watch your thoughts and your habits, because they will truly create your future. So if you're really down and out and you're really spending too much money and you're not taking care of yourself, and they are your habits every day, become aware and change it up. Because like Maurice said, once he stepped it up, new opportunities came to this door. So it's critical. So watch your thoughts and your habits.
I agree with both those wholeheartedly. One last thing, remember to laugh. Remember to laugh. Enjoy the ride and remember to laugh. There we go. Right. Oh, well, thank you again, and we'll see you next time on Story Van TV.